Welcome home. We provide information, inspiration, and motivator after motivator after motivator here on America's Next. I have Ken Granderson here with me today. How you doing, Ken?
Fantastic, Cedric. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm very happy to have you in the building tonight. It's not every day that we get to identify people who might walk past you, who you never knew were doing work as important as the work that you do today. So I'm very happy for your time today. And if you are tuned in from Roku TV, Apple TV, Android TV, Facebook, YouTube, Amazon Fire, I appreciate you being here. Feel free to drop a comment, put a reaction in the chat, because when you tune in here, it lets us know that you value our show. So thank you so much. And without further ado, Ken, where are you from?
I am from the neighborhood formerly known as Do or Die Bed-Stuy.
Okay.
Now it might be the somewhat gentrified Bed-Stuy, but Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York, USA, planet Earth.
Right. Now, Bed-Stuy that was made famous by movies by Spike Lee and some other famous entertainers. A lot of people came to Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. Talk to me about what Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn was like for you growing up. What was going on there?
Well, first let's talk about the time frame. So I was born in 1963. So most of my recollections of growing up is my teen years, which would have been in the 1970s. Mm-hmm. So what was it like is interesting because I was always a homebody, still am a homebody. I joke that I learned about social distancing by email.
Okay.
But I think it started then because I was a bookworm. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't get out much. I wasn't, my cousins were more into partying, and I was always going, either going to school, doing like some church stuff or, having different hobbies. And those hobbies were actually very key to the path that I found myself on. And actually, one of the things that I've seen missing in the lives of many of our young people as time is going on is not having hobbies. Whenever you hear the people, young people talk about being bored, that word was not in our vocabulary. Because you're only bored if you ain't got nothing to do. And so as long as we got something to do, you're not going to be bored.
And how could you not have anything to do? Take a second and talk to us about how you were able to explore the world through books, through hobbies, and through imagination. What were some of the books you read, for instance?
Wow. You caught me by surprise there because I'm trying to think. I mean, you know what? Not even so much as specific books.
Okay.
Growing up, being around books was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
As I've shared with you, my life story is less dramatic than many folks. I was, I guess what you could say, called working class kind of family. Dad worked for the post office, a graveyard shift. So most of my recollections of him, he passed in 1997, or him sleep. But he was always there, see?
Right, yep.
So we never went fishing, played ball or whatever, but he was always there. And I've grown to appreciate that so much more as life is going on, Mm-hmm. At first, my mom was a stay-home mom because back in those days, a blue-collar job could support a family. It's not that anymore, and so what happened was the decision was made to try to get myself and my brother, I got a brother who's a few years older than me, into private school. I'm not sure how much some of it was because I started becoming a problem child because I was bored.
Were you? Yeah, I was gonna say, were you bored? Were you? You seem like as an imaginative person or an in-home person, you might have ran out of things to do inside the house unless you were always sitting on the staircase reading a book or two.
well, in the living room, my dad had built a bookcase of different books. And a lot of them I didn't read, but I know I looked at the World Book Dictionary. We had the whole World Book Dictionary. Back in those days, the encyclopedia man would come by and you get these dictionary on credit and stuff. And we had the World Book. And
Hold on. Talk to me about that. So you're saying that somebody, a salesman, essentially used to come to your door and sell you a volume of dictionaries and encyclopedias?
I'm not saying that I saw that, but I don't think that they went to the store and got them. Yeah,
Wow.
back in the days, like even today, when you see the Fuller Brush commercial, most people don't
Yeah.
know Fuller was a black man, and
Right.
and Fuller Brush, that was back in the day, door to door sales. Vacuum cleaners were sold like that. Before some of like the multi-level companies and started doing some, but yeah, I know, but however they got there, they
Right.
were there. And see, and I
Mhm.
make that distinction because later on in life, when I actually was involved with a black owned and operated multi-level company that did a skincare product, a sister who made millions in Mary Kay and started her own black skincare company. And I actually did home shows, and I was a whole bunch of ladies' homes, and I would see top to bottom CDs, no books.
Right. Right. That's right.
And and that is a good reason why we might not be as doing as well in school as we want, because just growing up around them, you pick them up, you learn how to read.
That's right.
Whatever
Did
the
you
kid is around, they're gonna suck up.
would you say that you witnessed some of the transition from actual books into more digital products? Did you witness that change?
Absolutely, because again, when I was growing up, there wasn't anything else but books. And I remember when calculators first came out,
Wow.
games that we were playing, like me and my best friend, we'd be goofing off in church playing some little game where we met dots that you.
Right.
So it wasn't
Yeah.
tic-tac-toe or some other game,
Yeah.
But when
Making
pen and
squares.
paper, you had a game. Got a stick
right.
in a ball, you had a game. You didn't
That's
need
right.
no
Yeah.
electricity. You didn't need all kind of flashy whatever,
Right.
Got a milk crate and a pole, you have
You got a
basketball.
game. you know, I find great indulgence in this part of the conversation because I want to know, did you all have conversations about how the world was changing? For instance, when I was in, let's say, 8th grade, people would say, you know what? We're all having a good time right now, but sooner or later, CDs are coming out or DVDs are coming out. There will be no more VHS. So you guys didn't talk about the change from literature to digital products?
Not only that, but every piece of technology, I've been involved actively, professionally in technology since the early 90s.
Okay.
Everything that we're using, nobody predicted it. There was no master plans or whatever. It all kind of happened by accident. And even growing up, there weren't too many conversations about the future and kind of looking towards the future. And I think that it's very unfortunate because I'm old now, right? But more importantly, I've been paying attention to things since I was like 17, 18. And so I've watched various things change, and I recognize the value in, number one, planning to get old. If you plan to get old, you will make decisions in different ways than if you're just thinking about the present. Like, do I want to hang out with this joker? Who do I want around me? What do I want to do? Etc. And so, we did not have conversations around that. I was very fortunate in being around, people who weren't necessarily going to change the world, but they weren't like self-destructive, and they weren't
right.
They weren't dangerous people to be around because, my story, you had me born around the corner from where I grew up. My story could be very different. We might not be having this conversation,
That's right.
And I recognize that when earlier you mentioned books, and you also mentioned Spike Lee. So I'll mention this because on blackfacts.com, which we'll get to at some point, in the footer, you'll see a dedication. The website is dedicated to Jacqueline Lee, his late mother.
Wow.
She had several children at the school I went to from 3rd grade to 12th grade, St. Anne's School in Brooklyn Heights. Okay. I mentioned earlier I was, causing a little trouble, and I was going to school at PS 208 in Flatbush, and so they got me out of that. They determined I wasn't like a troubled child, but I was just maybe a little bit needed some more intellectual stimulation.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Lee had 3 children, not Spike wasn't one of them, at the school. And she was like the only Black academic teacher there. She had an Afro-American studies class. That was where I was introduced to Malcolm X, Toni Morrison, Ralph Ellison, et cetera, because I didn't get that at home. My folks were, I would say, moderately religious, very, very sincere and committed, but not like extreme,
Right.
So we weren't political, we weren't really cultural. And so I didn't get the exposure to some of our Black leaders except through Mrs. Lee's class.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm finding a pattern in what you're saying, that you were very active mentally, and maybe your mind was really busy, and the things that were asked of you were just a small slice of what your brain activity was actually doing. And so you needed something more. It came by way of African American history in that classroom, but you went on to become somebody who created advancements in technology. You became somebody who does coding and creating websites and actually helping our people to move into the virtual space altogether. And so it sounds like mentally you wanted something more. And when you got the stories of some of these great individuals, it opened your mind up to the concept of more than just the sometimes black and white daily routine. This was more exciting.
Absolutely. And what's so interesting is I don't think there's any way to underestimate the value of planting seeds in young people's minds, and also, first I would say, letting them experience and explore. Another way that I lucked out compared to a lot of other young people is that I grew up in a household that was not only two family, stable, same phone number, all that,
Yeah.
No, I mean,
that's a big deal.
I got people very close, have had to move several times. Those kind of things can be very disruptive, and so I looked out that, number one, I was encouraged to ask questions.
Okay.
Not shut down when I was asked questions. And I was encouraged to explore different things. So there are certain things I did, like I used to collect shells at some point. Doesn't have not much future in that, right? Then I got into collecting coins. So I realized that's a rich person's hobby.
Right. Yeah,
I got to a certain level
Yeah.
and I had to stop, right? Even with the technology. I was interested in computers. The school got a computer when I was like 16, 17. I got interested, but we couldn't afford them. So I got into stereo, hi-fi, started DJing. I did not get back into computers until the late 90s. And so yes. I do have, I do see a lot of possibilities, et cetera. At the same time, because I grew up around, solid people, but folks who was just, doing what they do, working, own a store, whatever, but not folks who were like people that I met when I went to college. A lot of Black folks from the South who were like second, third generation professors and doctors and stuff. I was like, oh yeah,
Right.
But I did not really, my mind wasn't really open to doing bigger things until my 5th year in college. I say to folks, I had so much fun. I stayed an extra year, so you can take that any way you want.
Right.
and my brother introduced me actually to some of Napoleon Hill's books, like Think and Grow Rich. That really planted the seed in my mind that I could do something more than my objective at that point. So okay, I went from Bed-Stuy to MIT. So I pretty much knew walking out of there, I'm going to be making more than my daddy.
Right.
And that was my concept of success at the time. When I started reading things that expanded my mind and started helping me understand through stories of other folks and just kind of reinforcement that we have no idea what our potential is. But so much of it starts from deciding that we're going to be extraordinary. And when you decide you're going to be extraordinary, one of the best kept secrets in life is that most people are, just getting by, or just in the grand scheme of things, just kind of being average. So it doesn't take that much more. Think about like the Olympics or something like that. You just got to be a 0.05 seconds faster than the runner before you to win. So you don't have to be changing the world to do things that are extraordinary. But whether you're, in some profession, or you're trying to be a public servant, et cetera, if you just start if you decide, you got to first recognize that regardless of your station in life, there's always going to be those who have more and less than you. And you're always going to be able to find people who had amazing success, who came from better or worse backgrounds than you. So anything is possible, but when you decide, when you make that decision, your actions change. And when your actions change, your outcomes start to change. And I'm not talking about some magical, well, I'm just going to decide this and then everything is going to fall into place. I ain't seen that happen in my life or anyone else's. But what does happen is that you start developing habits that lead you closer and closer to whatever you focus on.
That's right.
In the Napoleon Hill books, or I don't know if he made it up, or other folks, was it As a Man Thinketh, James somebody. Like the the dream you hold in your heart, the voice, whatever. People can look it up. That you will aspire to, whatever that you will become. I misquoted it terribly, but we're in 2020. You can Google it. As a Man Thinketh, and those things. It's not magic. It's psychology.
Yeah, it's the power. Yeah. It's the power of I am, and it is.
Yes, and I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, yes. And what I find happens is that when you start thinking that way, the quote, I don't believe that quote, the universe changes for you. But what happens is other people respond to you differently. When you walk into a room and I got this, other people respond in more likely like, oh, I don't know who this is, but he got it covered.
Right, that's right. So more often than not, no matter where you live and how you were able to grow up, there is a major discovery waiting for you. If you are curious enough, not too curious, because we know what our grandmother said about curiosity, but if you are curious enough, there is something huge waiting for each and every one of us to find out. And that is the power of that which is within. Absolutely. Sometimes when we are raised by blue collar workers or people just trying to get by, you don't think any of it is extraordinary. But there are experiences out there that will clue you in to the fact that you hold something extraordinary. And so for people who are from, the Midwest, or even like you said, from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, or, inner cities clear across America, there is more than hope for you. There is a huge discovery waiting for you that, number one, you have huge potential. You have untapped genius. You have so much untapped genius that, guess what? Your teachers at school aren't always asking you for the totality of the genius that's within. You have so much genius within. And then the next thing is that you discover that you have a rich history, that you come from phenomenal people, that it's so powerful for you to be a melanated individual. It is one of the greatest gifts from the universe that you happen to identify as African American, Negro, Black, however you want to term it. It's one of the greatest things on God's green earth. And so these are the things that if you so discover them, they will inspire you to become extraordinary.
Absolutely. And you know what? Another one of the things that I've observed happen in our society that I am not happy about is when I was younger, people were valued more for certain things that they may have done that other people didn't do. And for the past,
what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
I'm someone who maybe they achieved something, whether it was in business, in sports, politics, versus nowadays the quote influencers are the perfect example of people who are famous for being famous, and just celebrity worship, and just just people just being so absorbed with just popularity and this and that and the other. And what comes with that sometimes is titles and trappings of wealth or whatever. I don't care about people's titles or whatever, because I know when you say you have untapped genius, and we all, I believe, have areas where we can be extraordinary, regardless of whether we got a college degree or we got this job or whatever. Like, I think about my grandfather, who on my mother's side, I don't even know if he finished high school. And, he worked in the token booth, but he also owned like a half dozen properties.
Right.
One of them, my cousin lives into this day, and it's there's so much we can do if we value ourselves. I think, again, planning to live a long time helps you make decisions, for the longer term. And yes, when you realize, when you look to the past and you realize that you're standing on the shoulders of giants, I have a saying that when you see that you stand on the shoulders of giants, it is easier to see yourself from a higher place.
That's right.
And you mentioned the schools, right? Schools generally are institutions. Any institution works on giving the same cookie cutter thing for everybody. And that's not a criticism, right? If you got to instruct millions of young people, you can't necessarily have an individual curriculum for everybody. So, so unless you are going to a school that is equipped to take you where you may go, that's something you're going to have to do on your own. I'm real,
No, that's right. That's right. When you say that you're going to have to do it on your own, that is real. That's extremely real, because it's unrealistic to think that school, which has to provide something substantial for everybody, is going to be able to provide the extensive history of your people, when we've got hundreds of nationalities out there. And so it is upon you to get tipped off. Yeah, and unfortunately, we've got to get tipped off. A Ken Granderson or a teacher, a mentor has to say, I got an idea for you. I want you to go and I want you to research the history of your people. Don't go back 50 years ago. Don't go back 100 years ago. Go back thousands of years. Start with 10,000 years ago and bring back up to the present day. And then that's how you establish a sense of identity. That's something beyond the scope of school. And so, yeah, it's incumbent upon each and every one of us to, I think you need to be tipped off, though. That's not jumping out at you. And that's why we have some elders who say, I've been working a blue collar job my whole life. I have no idea who Imhotep is. I bought a home. I provide for my family, but I don't know the story of Asar and Aset. I don't know about the 25 dynasties that preceded slavery. And I don't know all this black greatness that you're talking about, right? And so, some of us have to take that heroic step of going out there and figuring out what our true identity is. And when did you begin to think that you were going to be one of those people?
It was after exposing myself to a lot of the motivational, inspirational literature, and reading about other people who came from all kinds of backgrounds, who had done extraordinary things, and recognizing that so much of it was just deciding to do something significant. And as I reflected on the benefits that my background had given me, my good fortune of, I've said to some people close to me, it's like, yeah, your biggest mistake was that, when you were a little cherub, you picked the wrong family to be born to, as if you had a choice, right? Because it's been said more recently that so much of things depend on your zip code. Well, honestly, if you're in the neighborhoods I've grown up in, it depends on which floor of which house sometimes.
Wow.
How you could have a completely different story, and so most of us are not ever exposed to the possibility that we can do things. And when I say extraordinary, I'm not trying to put any sort of, burden on anyone to change the world and this and that and the other. Extraordinary might be being the first in your family to go to college, or to get a job at a certain level. It's going to be different. Right. Yeah, but what I do believe is that achievement is always found outside of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. If you're looking to be comfortable, you're not going to be achieving anything extraordinary. And that might be okay, because we need our kind of stable, rock solid, reliable folks who just give us our baseline thing. I believe everybody has their role to play. Yeah. But I think the more we recognize, what is possible, and we make our choices consciously, then we can be at peace. Because real talk, trying to do extraordinary things, it's a lonely and hard road. And not everyone is going to, be okay mentally, with a lot of the disappointments and things like that. So I will never suggest that, quote, everybody should do this or do that. You got your life, you got to figure out what works for you. But, at the end of the day, when you lay your head down, if you feel like, based on who you are, where you came from, what that you did reasonably the best that you could, then that's all. That's
right. You said some very powerful things just now, and I want to co-champion some of what you're saying before we go into the break. And when you spoke about the decisions that we make, which make your life different from one floor to the next. Mm-hmm. Some people say, "Oh, you're from this particular zip code. I have an idea what your life was like," but it's more specific than that for a lot of us, and it's the difference in the decisions of our people. What did our people, I'm talking about your family, what decisions did your family make? Who did they decide to be? I want each and every person out there to think about this. Who are we deciding to be? Because it's going to make the difference from our household to the household next door of who our children are going to believe that they can become.
Exactly.
Lo and behold, if you decide to be someone who steps out on your untapped genius, that road is going to be long, it's going to be tough, and it's going to be extremely rewarding. Our greatest rewards come when we take up the universe on the untapped potential that is within. And so we learn how to bind, how to support each other. We learn how to bind, be okay with people around you being great. We normalize the extraordinary. And so extraordinary is discovering the power of within. It's not always going out and inventing something or, creating a huge organization, but it is extraordinary with all of the media that we have out here today to discover the power of that which you have within. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Ken Granderson. We'll be right back after this brief message. America's Next Motivator, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. America's Next Motivator, hosted by me, Cedric Riley, sponsored by the Pride Empowerment Network and our viewership. And we're back. Hey, Ken, how you feeling out there?
I'm laughing because I'm like, oh no, he found his picture back in high school.
Yeah.
me, Cyril and Stephen Jones. That was too funny.
Absolutely. I'm happy to make memories here on our show. This is what we do. And for all those people who are here for the second half, we are not finished yet. I actually went and looked up your website, blackfacts.com, and I just want to give people an idea of the work that you were able to do and the work that you're still doing on behalf of our community and the world at large. So everybody, sit tight. I'm going to pull up his website, and you guys drop some reactions in the chat, drop some comments and questions in the chat, and let's look at some of the work that he's done. So this is blackfacts.com. See, we got a video here. Let's start from the top. So blackfacts.com. Who created this website?
I created it back in 1997 when Black people were first starting to really go online. What we ended up doing was saying, hey, we want to make sure that when Black people start going online, that we see ourselves reflected on this thing called the internet. And
Wow.
so Black Facts was, the first website of its kind, being a Black history encyclopedia. So what you're actually seeing are news stories and historical and news stories that we pull off the internet and we link them through artificial intelligence, and then we display them both on our website as well as other people's websites who are interested in the content. And the videos that you saw, if you scroll back up to the top, you'll see we've got like the that's what we call the Black Facts Minute, a daily video that 1 minute video for every day of the year. We have some sort of Black History video, and
let's check this out for a second, everybody.
Okay.
Wow. Oh. What a picture. Drop a 1 in the chat if you guys are with us on this episode. Drop a 1 in the chat. This is incredible. Whoa. Extremely cool. Extremely cool.
Yeah. So every day we've got one of those videos. Also, if you become a member, there's a join button in the top left or right, the other left, right, where you'll get our daily Black Facts of the Day emails that just has a little link and thumbnail of a few different things that happened in history today. Now, when you first loaded it, I didn't see at the top the collage of the sisters, but you should see, because I have it up. You should see actually our Black Women in Her Story video series. We actually have several video series from Black Facts heroes, Afro-Latinos, trailblazers, different educational ones. And on one of the menu items in the main menu that says Wakanda News is actually Black-oriented news from around the world.
Okay.
35 different countries, including 18 predominantly Black countries. And this is all content that's free to the public.
This is huge. This is huge. There were no less than 100 links that I just looked at just now on your website. And so there's been an enormous amount of work that has gone into building that website and actually preserving the history and the present day work of people that look like you and I. And I want to connect a few dots tonight. Mm-hmm. And let's start with the power of media. When we watch television, when we listen to the radio, when we talk to people, all of these things are forms of media. And for a long time, the issue with media has been that it has not shown us images of ourselves in prosperous positions as a result of positive decisions. And so for you to create a store of these images and stories it's identity making. It can make an identity for somebody to take in this media versus some of the other media in our world that might be problematic.
Thank you so much for recognizing that. And I mean, and I say that because many people just kind of go by and they say, "Oh, yeah, some interesting Black info," but I believe you get it. You know, one of our slogans is, our mission is putting the Black community in control of our narratives.
Yeah.
Okay? As a Black technologist, while I run into more Black people nowadays who work in different companies, there are very few of any Black folks who can say, "We built this. What you're seeing here, I conceived it, I coded it, I've deployed it." We come up with ideas and we just build stuff. And that is something that we want to share, that vision and opportunity, because most people in tech today have never even seen Black folks who we're just totally in control of our own stuff, our own system, everything, you know.
So you do coding? You're a coder?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've been professionally programming since the early 90s. I quit my first mainstream job with a little program that I got in some books and things like that. And yeah. Before I forget the thought, because there's so many things, and as you know, as you could probably guess, I could talk forever, right? But when you're talking about, what we're doing, yes, what we view what we're doing as being the 21st century realization of W.E.B. Du Bois, NAACP founder, Harvard graduate, international scholar, his dream that he called the Encyclopedia Africana, which was a compendium of knowledge predominantly created by Black thinkers.
Yeah.
But we're not historians, and we're not trying to play historians on the internet. We're tech people. And when I say we, I got a business partner, friend from 96 and business partner. Technology that's our lane. That's what we do. We're looking for educators and our journalists. I say our journalists are our modern day griots. They're the boots on the ground that are truth tellers who are telling our stories and going to places where us nerds are too scared to go many times, and telling those stories and bringing truth to bear. What we are looking to do is help them amplify and magnify their messages through our knowledge and mastery of this technology thing.
Yeah. You are someone who is you're a pioneer who should be known. You are a pioneer who should be known. And the reason why I say that is because, so many of us, when we tap into this genius that we were talking about earlier, we come up with ideas. How many of us, drop a 1 in the chat, how many of us have come up with an idea, but you had no idea, pun intended, how to make it real? You didn't know how to code it. You didn't know how to actually formulate the software, how to actually invent your idea. We have no shortage of ideas. We have a shortage of understanding how to manifest those ideas. And so,
sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I agree. But what I was going to say as a friendly amendment to that, and where it comes from, is we got a shortage of unity. Because, yeah, I can code, I can put machines together, whatever. I'm a little extra, okay? This is kind of all I do, all right? I'm not going to say folks should be like me, but we all have areas that we can shine, whether it is in the visual design. Ours ain't that hot. Whether it is in, the messaging, whether it's in video production, whether it's in the storytelling. But a problem is we don't work together.
Okay.
We don't realize, this brother or sister does this, I do that. Let's figure out a way to work together that doesn't involve, oh, I got to get paid everything right now.
Yeah. Let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
When you say we have a lack of unity, because the backdrop of us not having not having unity is that so many of our ideas, they go to the wayside or they go to the grave because you don't know how to manifest this idea, right? But is it also that we don't value the ideas of one another? When somebody ran up to their cultural peer and said, "Hey, I have an idea for this gadget that you can hold up and talk to somebody across the world." Does that person say, the world's not going that way? I don't value your idea. And then somebody else comes up with the same idea because the universe is speaking to us if we're woke enough to hear it. And this person creates the phone. Right? Do we, we lack unity, but do we also not value one another's ideas? What do you think about that?
I think they're two sides of the same, issue.
Yeah.
That they're not valuing our own ideas, number one. Because many of us, the biggest, our biggest hater is that man or woman in the mirror, right? So we can have a whole set of conversations about that. But there's the people we surround ourselves with. There's this amazing video. I don't remember the name of the brother who did it. But this brother who basically says, hang around with people who look like your future, not your past.
Wow. I like that.
Yeah. It's a great video, not necessarily for kids with the language, but he's keeping it real, and it's true. If you have ideas and you have people who are shooting it down, might be time to shop for some better friends.
That's right. That's right. That's right. You've gotten into media. I do want to share that 85% of what we learn and what we become, to that extent, it comes by way of media. So cannot understate the power that you are getting yourself into when you decide to get into media, which educates us to the tune of at least 85%, but positive educational data about your own people, meaning there's a high frequency of resonation, meaning 9 times out of 10 it's going to resonate with me to find out that Mary Kay got its concept from Madam C.J. Walker. The idea of going from one home to the next, selling beauty supply. So, okay, this is why Mary Kay is beginning, because now I know about Madam C.J. Walker.
Yep.
Media is important. Emery Curry says sometimes our people are so competitive they don't see the collaboration.
Absolutely, it's definitely been my experience. Many of us, and I'm not sure when I say us, I'm not sure if it's a cultural thing or a lot of times I try to not try to define, why. At a certain level, it doesn't matter if that's what you're dealing with.
Yeah, that's right.
But a lot of what I would call small-minded folks, they want to just hold on to everything and it's like me, like, I'm the great I am, and and you got to kiss the ring to come through. That kind of mentality. Whereas when you embrace the possibility of true greatness, there's another saying that I'm going to misquote or something, is that basically you can't compete against me because I want to see you succeed too. Or Zig Ziglar used to say, you get everything in life you want if you help other people get what they want. So so I know when I see folks like yourself who are doing positive things, I want to promote you. I mean, heck, like when you're talking about positive messages, right? You might have to edit this out because I'm gonna give a commercial for someone who ain't. Hey, it's important, but this website, becauseofthemwecan.com, that has positive Black news. They have a monthly little subscription box for kids, positive Black stories. It's like, we love them. So we want to find other folks who are promoting positive kinds of and inspiring, empowering kind of things, because we believe that there's plenty room for all of us to be successful.
Wow, that makes you a standout. I know from firsthand experience that a lot of people, they don't see it that way. They are very competitive. So often when you have a grand idea, you have an idea that's going to be for the benefit of others, people will turn you away. People say, "Oh, that's not what I do," or "I don't understand."
Yeah.
And this is the reality. There are a lot of people who don't want to see others succeed, but we have ideas coming through us, and it's a matter of numbers. All of our ideas aren't going to be manifested, but there is an ancient proverb that says you can put a people in a situation. If they don't create a way to change that situation, then they deserve to be in that situation. And so at some point we have to begin to say, I need everybody else's ideas. I've got one piece. What ideas do you have? And we need to begin to compile these ideas into a new reality. That's how we pursue the 21st century ideas of W.E.B. Du Bois and whoever else we thought, Dr. John Henry Clark, Joseph Ben-Jochannan, and all these folks.
Yes.
This is how we pursue what they were thinking, is when we combine our ideas. We need to combine. We are much more impactful as a collective. As you say, Black facts matter. Talk about Black facts matter.
This is
discover, share, create Black history. That's right.
That's our swag or whatever. Yeah, our Black facts matter.
Yeah. What do you say? What do you say to the fathers out there who they just work hard? They don't see themselves as extraordinary, and they're wondering how maybe they can move the meter a little bit closer to what we're talking about. What do you say to them tonight?
I say to them, if you got sons, probably the most powerful thing you can do is just be a living example of what a good Black man is.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I've had this conversation with some girlfriends about like I don't fight. I don't get angry and this and that and the other. And I said, well, when I was growing up, if my folks argued, they did it away from us. So I don't know any different. I don't know any better than to treat a woman decent. Mm-hmm. So I would say, just be aware that they're always watching, and that whatever you do, they're going to pick up on that. If you've got girls, same sort of thing. Try to be the kind of man that you want them, if they're straight, that you want them to connect with, show them, and regardless of how much money you make or don't make, or what you do or don't do, that, who you are, who you show up as to them, I think is the most powerful investment, that we can make for the future.
100%. I am recollecting right now just the sheer number of facts that I read as a teenager. There were books full of facts, and it was almost like the books were edible to me. I would sit there and read that book from the beginning to the end if I could, in a day. I mean, you could get through, if it's small pieces of information, you could get through a 400-page book in one day, just fact after fact after fact. And the reality is, I never had a Black fact book. Have you created one of those, or do you have any books?
Not any printed books. We're very digital, because digital is very inexpensive to create on a mass scale.
That's right.
At some point, one potential scenario would be if we ran into someone who was in the book business, because there's more to putting out a book than just saying, oh, we're just going to print, the stuff out, right?
Right. Yeah.
And that's outside of what we know how to do. We know how to do tech stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But if someone who wanted to create a book wanted to have a conversation about that, we could certainly have that conversation.
Okay.
Yeah. And it sounds like, I don't know if you had the Coke bottle glasses that I used to wear before I got contacts, but you sound like you're a bookworm yourself.
Yeah. I read everything I see. Sometimes I will, end up going a different route than I intended to go because I'm busy reading. I read everything I see. Every single word that crosses my face, I'm trying to read it. And so, yeah, I read a lot lately, and there are people out there who are not going to like this. But I've not read a lot of books lately, and my hunger for books is growing. I'm starving for a book right now, but I'm also writing a book right now, and so I want my personal thoughts and intellect to go into this book as purely as possible. And when I'm finished with that, I'm diving right back into some books. And so if you have some, feel free to recommend them. I'm going to read your website. Actually, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to read your website from top to bottom because it's good stuff. So yeah, I like
but true confessions, I don't really read that many books at all. I'm not even up on my audio books. So, so my hat is off to you. And I've actually been, quote, working on a book now for over a year. It's going to be called Techie Chagwalia, Self-Determination Through Technology.
Wow.
And it's going to basically go through some of the details of, what I did, the same stuff that's on my personal website, kengranderson.com, that basically shows how I got started and made some little programs and one thing led to another, so yeah.
What would you say? And we've had a great time tonight, and we are rounding third base here. And so I just want to ask you a few more questions. Sure. What do you think has been your greatest accomplishment so far?
I would say greatest accomplishment would probably be there's two. I'm trying to figure out which one. Launching Roxbury.com. Roxbury, for those who aren't familiar with Boston, is Boston's biggest Black community.
Okay.
That back in 2002, we launched Roxbury.com. I actually have on the Black Facts YouTube channel. There's a video that goes through some of the screens where it had news, events, business directory listings, online discussions, and what we called community experts now would be called a blog. And this was before, Yelp, before Eventbrite, way before things like Facebook. And this was, created by Black folks for a Black audience. It was absolutely like revolutionary. I'm not even sure how many, urban Black communities ever did anything like that. But that was the double-edged sword, is that it was so early that people really didn't have any idea what we were doing.
Hold on. That is still a great idea. So you guys created a website out of a community?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Was it like a social place? Could people meet there?
There were email discussion groups. I had one called Boston Blacks Online, where people talk about everything. And we put those discussions on the thing. Now, honestly, it was never meant to be a meet and greet kind of thing, but folks have told me that a lot of folks hooked up on it.
Yeah. So this is where I feel you are an example for so many millions of people across America today. You were visionary in creating Roxbury.com. You and whoever else helped you. When we create databases of our information, it becomes extremely powerful for the next generation. Imagine growing up in a Roxbury that's been gentrified and it's not the way it used to be. And you want to find out the history of that place. Well, you could go to a site such as Roxbury.com and gain your identity in Roxbury. And so the power in what you're doing, it doesn't always come right now. It comes in the future.
Right.
Think of all of the affluent communities that we have across the country. What if they had a .com?
Right.
ForestPark.com, PGCounty.com, Cleveland.com, or whatever neighborhood, Harvard.com, St. Clair.com. And this is a site created by someone like Ken Granderson, talks about your community, what's happening there, the facts, the history.
Yep.
This is still a powerful idea. Still a powerful idea. We have to.
I could show you a presentation that he did. We were going to use the name urban communities of different communities sharing.
Yeah.
Data.
I'm gonna end it here. Okay. Data is the number one commodity in our world today. We live in a capitalist society. The number one product is data. The extent to which we begin to harness and present our data is the extent to which we begin to truly become able to lead our communities. Ken Grandison, I got 3 questions for you. I need you to answer them within 15 seconds. My first question, what is survival to you?
Survival is living like a few months at a time in terms of revenue.
Okay. What is success to you?
Success is having enough going on with some of the business deals so we don't have to keep track of where the money is going.
What is greatness to you?
Greatness is seeing what we have created, inspiring other folks to do similar things and to see themselves as being able to be in control of our technological destiny.
I appreciate you today. Ladies and gentlemen, put your crown emojis into the chat. Put your crown emojis into the chat. Put your crown emojis into the chat. Ken Grandison, I want to let you know, I've listened to your story today. I've enjoyed going on this ride with you of how you grew up to gather all of your experiences and do something that impacts other people. We are giving you your respect today.
Thank you.
And we're giving you your crown today while you're still alive to receive it. Ladies and gentlemen, put your crown emojis into the chat. We are letting you know that you, Ken Grandison, you are America's next motivator.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for stopping by today, all right?
All right.
You got crowns coming into the building. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Each and every episode of America's Next Motivator is going to have something here for you. All you've got to do, just like you did today, stop by, pick it up.